felt like your executive presence was not where it needed to be, or maybe you have, okay, I'm sorry, my video went out for just a moment there. Okay, my video just went out, so I'm sorry about that. But what I was saying before my video just went out on me is that if you are a woman in leadership and you have ever been in any situations where you felt like your executive presence needed a little bit of work, or perhaps you feel like there's something that's changing in terms of how you are as a leader and you're not being able to progress to that next level, well, I want to share with you today 3 things that will absolutely sabotage your executive presence even as a woman in leadership. Now, the women that I work with specifically are very high achieving women who are in different types of roles that have required them to be in those very pressured situations. They're dealing with high stakes moments, high stakes conversations. Perhaps they're dealing with interviews, perhaps they're dealing with salary negotiations, and etc. And so I'm going to share with you 3 things that will sabotage your executive presence so that you do not make these mistakes. Now, as people join the live video today, I will stop and break and say hello to them, but I'll make sure we get through everything that we need to help you all on your journey. Now, at the very beginning, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. A lot of times people think executive presence is specifically associated with how you look. And one of the things I mentioned in my previous live that I wanted to talk about was executive presence. So executive presence in terms of how you look and how you appear, that is not the foundation of executive presence. It's a factor in it, but it's not the foundation of it. What I have seen over my past 20 years as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director, and a public speaker, that executive presence comes down to a couple of fundamental things. The first is that your executive presence comes down to how you communicate, which is the reason why I'm hopeful that you are subscribed to the channel. If not, this is a fantastic time for you to do so. But how you communicate is very, very important in terms of your executive presence. Now, the second is how you make other people feel. That may be a bit different than what you're thinking, but these are fundamental things that help you with your executive presence. Now, you can't make everybody happy. You cannot make everybody happy, but you can still communicate to other people in a respectful way, even if it may be a controversial decision that you are making or etc. Now, if any of you have any questions about how to develop your executive presence or to avoid any sabotaging mistakes you could be making to it, then let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to help you and provide you with some answers. I'm about to go into 3 ways you can avoid sabotaging your executive presence in just a few moments. If you like this information, feel free to subscribe to the channel. This is a fantastic time and a fantastic place for you to go to that next level in your career as a woman in leadership and communicate at a higher level than your peers. So the very first thing that I want to know from you is, where are you all joining from? Feel free to leave it in the comments below. Let me know what part of this beautiful world you are visiting me here on today. Now, in terms of your executive presence, we talked about a baseline just a few moments ago before we had a lot of people join. The baseline is what executive presence is. It has a lot to do with how you are communicating, and it has a lot to do with how you make other people feel. So the 3 things that I want you to not do that will sabotage your executive presence include the following. And if you have questions about these, feel free to let me know in the comments below. The first thing that oftentimes women in leadership can sometimes do that will sabotage their executive presence is to ramble or over-explain. Now, this can happen regardless of gender. It doesn't matter, but I'm speaking specifically to my core audience. And if there's individuals of you that are present that are not in the audience, I know you care about leadership too. And so I want you not to make these mistakes either. A lot of times, if you come into a meeting as a business owner or as someone who is working as a leader, if you come into the meeting and you start rambling and over-explaining, it makes it seem like you are not concise in what you are saying. So I knew someone many years ago who was extremely intelligent. This woman knew her stuff. But every single time when she came into a meeting, she would jump onto her soapbox and just talk about all the amazing things that she had done. And people just got tired of hearing it. They wanted to hear what's the problem, like how are we going to fix this solution. They didn't want to hear about what happened 20 years ago. So be very careful in terms of how you are communicating as a leader in terms of not rambling, not over-explaining. Now, things you can do is to prepare a couple of talking points in advance so that when you go into your meeting, you know there's a few things you want to talk about and leave it at that. You don't have to go into a lot more detail. Just stay where you are. Just say the things that you need to say and respond to other people accordingly. This is a fantastic skill that I have taught my clients and I have done personally that has helped them to make sure that they are not rambling or over-explaining too much, which will sabotage your executive presence. Now, the second thing that can sabotage your executive presence is you may be making bad decisions. Now, I know sometimes when you are in those leadership roles, you may be wondering, well, sometimes you have to just make decisions, right? Yes, this is true. And sometimes the information that we have to make decisions with may not be perfect. However, there has to be a decision-making process, a strategy, a framework. There has to be some system that you have in place that will help you to make decisions. What happens a lot of times when people are making bad decisions is that they don't have a good process in place in terms of how to make decisions. Now, there are several videos here on my YouTube channel, particularly on my live page, that talks about how to deal with crises when they come up. They also talk about how to communicate under pressure. So I talk a bit more about that decision-making process in those specific videos. But I'm going to share with you a story really quickly about what happened to someone specifically when they were just making bad decisions, which can sabotage your executive presence. But before I do that, I want to say hello to those of you who have joined today. Hello, Elijah. Hello, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to how to elevate your executive presence and not sabotage your executive presence, put them in the comments below. Let me know and I will provide you with some expert level insights that will help you to elevate yourself as a leader, earn more income, and make a bigger impact on your businesses or your careers. Now, what happened specifically in this particular case is that I knew of a individual who would always make decisions. But the decisions that they made were always very not thorough, if that makes sense. And sometimes they ended up being bad decisions. They would get only half of the information. They would ask one of the most emotional people to give them a response, and they would make a decision based off of what the most emotional person on their team would think is the right thing to do. And this is how people make bad decisions. They don't have a system in place in terms of how to ask questions when they need to make those decisions on the spot. And so for those of you who have joined, I talked about this a few moments ago in terms of there's several videos on my channel that will help you to be able to make a decision-making process so that you make good decisions for your executive presence, not the bad decisions for your executive presence, on my channel, and just watch the replay to learn about those videos. But I will tell you that one of the key important aspects of making a good decision is to gather data. Gather as much data as you can, because you can only make an informed decision with you being informed. You have to know. If you end up being like the person I mentioned a moment ago who made decisions, but they always were not with the entire amount of information that needed to be processed to make a good decision, which is why their decisions always tended to be very bad decisions, then this will prevent others from feeling very confident as you are their leader, and they'll start to think differently of you. And there goes your executive presence. That's a sabotage. Now, I have talked to you about two things that have already came up oftentimes when people are trying to develop their executive presence that they accidentally sabotage themselves with. So I'm going to go into the third and final one in just a few moments. Now, if this information in this video has been helpful to you and you found some value here, or you know that there's something that you need to work on, then I encourage you to reach out to me. Contact me at Instagram at Excite Excellence, or on LinkedIn at Dr. Jacinta Lamantai. DM me the word strategy, because if you have a feeling that something's not quite where it needs to be, or you know you're about to step into a new role and you need to present yourself as that very confident executive, this is a perfect time for you and I to have a strategy session where we will dive deep in terms of what specifically it is that you need help with. The strategy sessions right now start at $135. And they go up from there depending on how complicated things are for you and what we need to really focus on to get you to that next level in your career. Just DM me, we'll have a brief conversation and schedule a time so that we can work on developing a very focused strategy just for you so you can move forward in your career as a woman in leadership. Now I'm going to go into the third and final thing people do to sabotage their executive presence. Are you ready? The third and final thing that people do to sabotage their executive presence is to communicate in a way that is not respectful to other people. Now, there's situations that will come up, and I've been in those very friendly and those very contentious situations where sometimes you do have to draw the line in the sand. However, there's a way that you can communicate that still with being respectful. If there's a situation where people are upset and they're angry, be that person that's calm. If you have a question and something just doesn't make sense, then you ask your question. But you always want to communicate in a way that is optimistic, that is going to at least think of what's the best solution for this problem so that you can move forward. Now, before I go into a story in terms of how this happened, what you need to avoid, I want to say hello to who all joined. Hello, Lele. Hello, welcome. If you have any questions as it relates to developing your executive presence, let me know in the comments below. I'm here to help you and let me know where you're joining from in this beautiful world today. And thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it. Hello, Tyson. Welcome. If you have any questions as it relates to your executive presence, then let me know in the comments below. So let me explain to you how you communicate can sabotage your executive presence. So let me give you an example. I knew of a leader, and this is when I worked as a manager many years ago. She was very, very nice, and she was in a place where she wanted to provide a response to her team, but she tried to do it in a really kind of tough girl kind of way. And so it just didn't come across right. She talked to people in a very stern tone. She scowled at them. She somewhat yelled to them. And people started to look at her and say, oh, I'm not going to listen to her. She's acting silly. Like she's acting like she's lost it. And so her executive presence started to go way down in the organization that she was managing. And a lot of people felt it and they started to see it too. So make sure that you're communicating at a higher level so that you can go to that next level in your particular career. Now, I do want to take a look at the questions before I recap with everyone. So what questions do we have? So we have one question that says tips for going into the 9th grade. Well, I will share with you that was many years ago for me, but I focus specifically on helping you become an amazing leader. Now, I will say when you're making that transition, it can be kind of challenging, right? So my tips would be to just make sure that you are staying very focused and that you are listening, making sure you're surrounding yourself with very positive people that are trying to do something with themselves. That's a very critical grade, I would say, and you want to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that are trying to advance in their careers, not people that are trying to get into trouble. That would be my answer for you. I appreciate you joining and asking that question. Now, I want to recap and go through the 3 reasons why you may be sabotaging your career as a woman in leadership and you're not even aware that you're doing these things. So, are you ready? These are 3 things that you may be doing to sabotage your executive presence as a woman leader, and you may not even know it. The first is to ramble or over-explain. We talked about why you don't need to do that and what type of perception that gives to your audience. You want to check out the replay to learn more about that. The second is that you might be making bad decisions. Now, you might be wondering, what am I talking about? That's what the replay is for. Make sure you're not making bad decisions. Watch what I talked about as it relates to that. And third, you may be communicating in a not respectful, polite way. How you communicate is a big factor in terms of sabotaging your executive presence. It's one of the most important ones. Now, if you found some value in this video And perhaps you're wondering, you know what? I like what Dr. Jacinta is talking about. I like the fact that we're going over executive presence. We're learning more about it. Well, this is a great opportunity for you to partner with me and let's work together to get you to that next level in your career. Because the longer that you wait to enhance your executive presence, the longer that you wait to elevate yourself as a woman in leadership, elevate yourself in your career, and elevate your income also. So contact me. Feel free to reach out to me for a strategy session if you want to get more focused support. The strategy sessions right now, they do start at $130 and they go up from there depending on how much you have to manage. Now, I deal specifically with women that are high achievers. They are usually dealing with a lot of things and they're dealing with a lot of high stakes situations. That's what my expertise is. I've actually been in these situations. I'm not like other executive coaches here on YouTube or on some other social media platforms that have only been advisors to executives and have been in those type of situations where they've been able to just communicate and just talk about theories and hypotheses and etc. That's not me. I'm here to give you real support, real strategies, and real scenarios that actually happen in the business world or if you are working for an organization. So real information comes here in terms of what you can actually expect. I'm not here to talk to you about random things. I've actually been a C-suite executive. I've been a manager. I've been a director. I've been in these roles and I've been in those very friendly and contentious situations and can tell you from my experience and my expertise what are some things you might want to think about. So a strategy session is a great opportunity for you to be able to focus in and really narrow down and make some significant movements in your career within a very, very short amount of time once we work together. Now, if you feel like you're ready for something even bigger, like let's say for instance on your leadership journey, you know that you are ready to elevate to that next level, but you just need some structure to help you get there, to guide you to those next steps, then you will be really excited to learn more about the Real Executive Woman, which is a transformative experience that I am hosting for women in leadership. This is a 6-part module program that I actually help my clients to go from where they are as leaders right now to elevate themselves to executive leaders. Now, this is something that not only helps them to elevate to executive leadership, but it's also helpful for those individuals that are in those executive roles when they know that they need to polish or refine how they are communicating, what they're doing, where are some of the misses that actually are taking place, because as leaders, even as seasoned leaders, sometimes we need to check ourselves and we need to see exactly what is it that we're doing that is not allowing us to make the forward movement in our careers that we want to do. Now, if this information has been helpful to you, feel free to leave a thumbs up on this video. It does allow it to get to more people so that more individuals can learn more information from the live videos also. And I also want to share with you, I'm going to be doing a bit more of my shorts on YouTube here very soon, so keep a lookout for that. For those of you who have not been able to look at some of the live streams, I have a lot of live streams, so many live streams that I have been invited to be a member of YouTube's live streamer research panel. So the reason why YouTube selected me for the live streamer research panel is because I've been doing so many live streams. So definitely check out the live stream. There's a lot of value there. And if you have any questions about anything specifically or need some insight, just let me know. Put something in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer your question and make a video just for you, depending on what it is that you want to learn more about. So if you have any questions, let me know. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next live video. Bye for now.